Good morning. I hope everyone is having a great morning. I know it's so fun to sit and chat with everyone and get your food and reconnect. So thank you all for being here this morning. We have an amazing speaker, Suzanna Garcia, that I can't wait to introduce in just a few minutes. But just before that, I'd like to just talk a little bit about the Beautiful Conference. It will be in January. It's the Thursday and the Friday, the 18th and 19th, and I wanted to just take a moment to show a video, and then we'll have a couple of ladies come and talk about it. Erica and Angela will talk about their experience. So we'll cue the video. Thank you.
I'd like to invite you to come to the Women's Conference this year. I'm so excited about being with y'all. They're going to scroll some details. Hi, I'm Lisa Harper, and I'd like to invite you to come to the Women's Conference this year. I'm so excited about being with y'all. They're going to scroll some details about how to sign up after my big head leaves the screen. But I just want to speak to you who feel like you don't have it all together. You're thinking, I don't wear Spanx, I don't have all the colors in my Bible, so maybe I wouldn't fit at the Women's Conference. Couldn't be furthest from the truth. We want you to come even if you don't feel like you have it all together. We're going to have just this incredible time talking about how much God loves broken people, hot mess women. As a matter of fact, if you have it all together, don't come to the conference this year. You probably won't fit. Please, please, please come. I can't wait to see what God does with us together. I can almost guarantee you'll be more convinced than you've ever been before that Jesus loves you, that he thinks you're the bomb. Can't wait to be with you.
Okay. And this is Erica and Angela, and they're going to talk to you a little bit about their experience at the Beautiful Conference last year.
Good morning. Last year was our first year there, and it was a really filled us up spiritually. We met some new people. We kind of grew friendships that we already had. And since the conference last year, we actually started with Lisa Bevere. We did a Bible study on her Without Rival book. And since then, we have kept our study group going, which is pretty good to just continue on with your spiritual growth. But anyway, so I just want to encourage everyone, do whatever you need to do to try to get there. The Thursday when it starts, it's in the evening. So tell your husband, be home. Leave your kids at home and come just get filled up Thursday night. And then that's going to just completely have you pumped up for a full day Friday. For some people, you might have time to go ahead and drop your kids off in the morning and just have to have somebody pick them up in the afternoon and keep them for the evening. But do what you need to do to get there. It's so worth it. If you have to get a babysitter, I promise you will not regret it.
Thank you so much, Erica and Angela. It is such a great opportunity for you to connect with other women and to find your tribe, to get into a Bible study, to have a small group if you don't already. So I highly encourage you to consider going to the conference and drinking it in spiritually, just like Erica and Angela said that they were able to last year. So next I want to introduce Suzanna Garcia, who is Stephen Garcia's wife, and he is the student pastor here at Grace. And they have only been here for about 7 months. They're from Missouri, but already they have had an enormous impact on this church and all of us. And I think I emailed this out, Suzanna, she's so fun. So fun. So I just love listening to her. And she has a really great message for us today, especially in this busy season. So I just encourage you to open your hearts and just have a listen to what she has to say. And hopefully something that she says will be helpful to you and you can apply it at home. Here she is.
Thank you. Should I put this down? I'm like, no problem. Yep. Thank you. Let me put that there. Hi. Hello. Good morning. I'm so happy to be here. Wendy, is this yours? I don't want to knock it off. I'm known to break stuff, so I just want to keep everything away from me. I'm so happy to be here with you guys this morning. Like she said, I'm Suzanna. My husband is Steven Garcia. He is the cute Hispanic guy you've probably seen walking around. He is the student pastor here, so I want to thank you for allowing us to love on your teenagers. We absolutely love being able to share with them and to love on them and encourage them and see them grow in their relationship with Jesus. Both of our lives were changed as teenagers as we encountered the love of Jesus, and so we love being able to be a part of that age. So I'll introduce my family. So that is my cute husband, Steven, my daughter, Isley. She's 4. She is funny and happy and crazy. And then there's Luca. He's 15 months, and he is my wild boy. And I don't know, do they have the other picture too? I don't know if they put that up. Oh, and surprise, we have another one. So, so thank you very much. I'm going to blame Irma on this one because it's a little panicked, made some poor choices. But no, just kidding. I'm thankful for another baby. And this will be the grand finale. So we're good. We'll buy that minivan and we'll be set. So anyway, so we're very excited about that. Just a little bit, we moved from Missouri, so we came to Grace. We love it here. You guys are a part of the best church I've ever been to or belonged to. It's incredible. And I'm also just started working about a month ago. I'm a labor and delivery nurse, so I just started working at Florida Hospital Tampa. So if you are going to deliver there, I found out someone's going to deliver there. I would love to care for you if I'm there, or I'd love just to pray for you if you're there having your baby, if you don't want me seeing you. I get it. So I get it. I've been there. So I get that. But I also want to just thank Wendy. I love Wendy. We have an amazing leader who cares about us and loves us and is just genuine, and I admire her so much, and I'm thankful for this opportunity. It's always an honor to speak to women that you love and you admire, so it's just really cool to be here. I also want to thank the church. You guys, like I said, are part of the best church I've ever been a part of, and the coolest part is that they believe in ministries for every season of life. So I don't know about you guys, but my life already in 6 months has been greatly impacted by the Beautiful Moms Ministry. And I love that we have pastors and Pastor Craig and Debbie that believe in this ministry and want to support it and make it such a great environment that you can invite your people to come and visit or come check it out. So I'm thankful for Beautiful Moms. And I'm thankful for my table because I love them. Pam Otto, she's who I want to be when I grow up. So I want to be like Pam Otto. She has really cute clothes. So anyway, I'm just thankful for her. So I'm excited because I talked to Wendy and she gave me a couple ideas of things to speak on. And she said, what about marriage and intimacy? And I said, yeah, that sounds great. I'll do that. And then, if you ever made a decision and you're walk away from that and you're like, I don't know if I know anything about marriage and intimacy. But it sounded really good. So I'm going to try to work through it. I've only been married 5.5 years. There's going to be people at your table. They're going to have a lot more wisdom probably in this area. But I'm going to tell you what I've figured out in 5 years, which we'll see what that is, okay? Because I can't tell you. But today I want to talk about something. I really had a desire in my heart to try to figure out what I wanted to say about marriage. And I kind of had all these fleeting ideas. And to be honest, the word busy kept coming up to me. Busy. And maybe it's because I'm in a season that is very busy. And so I want to talk about the dangers of distraction that can ultimately lead in deterioration from your relationship with your spouse. It's something I'm currently walking through, so if I sound like I'm preaching, this is actually a message for myself. So I'll be just know that I'm walking through this as well. The first topic I want to talk about is how the busyness of life can really steal the romance. It can really rob the romance of our marriage. If I walked around this room, I guarantee you I could pull out agendas and phones and see how type A you are and see all those little scheduled colors, and maybe you've got highlighters and gel pens full of your schedule. I bet they are packed full schedule, okay? I know you guys are driving from gymnastics to church commitments to sports events to family functions. You guys are the ultimate Uber, like you are. You should have a little tip jar in the front. Get paid for driving all over God's great earth, to contribute for that gas money. So it's really easy for our marriage to take a back seat in this busy season of life. Many times I feel like my schedule is actually dictating me more than I'm ever dictating my schedule. My time, it doesn't ever feel like it's actually mine. I don't know if you guys are in that season. But the truth is, we're in a season that's really easy for most of us to feel overwhelmed and exhausted, and it's been really hard to find that margin, that space in your life to concentrate on your marriage. I'll be honest with you, Stephen doesn't love when I share these personal stories, but that's what I do when I speak, so he's going to have to get over that. But whenever I told him I wasn't feeling great, we weren't planning on having another baby, but I wasn't feeling that good, and I went home on a Wednesday night after I'd gone to youth service, and I decided, hey, let's take a pregnancy test and see what happens. So I took a pregnancy test, and lo and behold, there was a positive sign. And so when my husband got home from church, of course I did what any wife would do. I bombarded him at the door and was like, oh my gosh, babe, I'm pregnant. And I remember if you know my husband, he's super introverted, but he's witty. And he it didn't even cross his mind in a second. He said, wait, did we have sex last month? Okay. And I will give it to him. It was very funny because I would agree that it's been a little busy and maybe it did fall to the wayside a little bit. And so it did make me laugh pretty hard that he said that. So, but the truth was, it really was kind of a wake-up call for me because I realized that intimacy or sex a lot of times is one of the first things to suffer to the crazy busy schedule of our life. It just falls to the wayside. It's not that we don't like to have sex. It's just you get busy, you get tired, and that becomes, something that you don't concentrate on as much. Now, I will tell you, I'm not going to get in the nitty-gritty of sex, but I am going to talk about it a little bit. And I want you guys to know you can't judge me because it's Beautiful Mom, so you've all done it once. So I don't want to see any judgment out there if I talk about it. So that's what it's called, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, I'll get off that subject. But when discussing busyness, I couldn't help but think of a story in the Bible. I know you guys probably have heard this story, but it directly talks about how we handle the schedule and the important things in our life. And it's the story of Mary and Martha. So I think it's on your notes if you want to follow along with me. It's Luke 10:38 through 42. And it's just good for this season that we're in right now of the year. It says, as Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Her sister Mary sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he taught. But Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She came to Jesus and said, Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work? Tell her to come help me. But the Lord said to her, my dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all these details. There is only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her. I pray that we will discover it today. You see, we have two women in this story who respond entirely different to a special guest coming into their home, someone they love, someone they want to take care of. You know, a lot of times I think when we hear this story, we think Martha bad, Mary good. That's what we kind of in our mind go. But the truth is, I don't think Martha was wrong in the way she was preparing and wanting to make this be a host to Jesus. I just don't think she was doing what is best. You see, many times we focus more on the setup than the sit down. We're so busy preparing that we miss out on what's most important, especially this time of year. In Christmas, I don't know about you, but I know for our home, a lot of times I'm cooking and I'm wrapping presents and I'm doing all these things. And then, after 10 minutes, the house is a mess, the food is everywhere, and all I want to do is clean up and just get it organized and get it back to how it was before, and I just want to get all that paper off the floor, and I'm learning that I need to sit down and enjoy those moments because those moments are fleeting, they are fast, and that there are more important things than the preparation or even just the tear down. So that's what I would encourage you, if you can do that this time. And even I was thinking about how even in our marriages, I don't know if you have little ones, but the bedtime routine is exhausting. By the time I cook dinner and I get these kids to bed, I'm like, oh, Lord, help me. I can't do this. But a lot of times after that, as soon as they're in bed, my husband's home, and the kids are in bed, I got things I got to do. I got laundry I got to do. I got dishes to put away. I've got lunches to make. And I start doing all those busy things. And my husband, he is undiagnosed, but I've diagnosed him because I'm a nurse and I can do that. He has narcolepsy, and that's what I've decided. What's really funny is I actually have a picture of Stephen reading an article on narcolepsy, and he fell asleep. And I'm not kidding. And I have it. It's on my Instagram if you go back. It's hilarious. And it's true. But so he just falls asleep really easy if he gets on the couch. But what happens is I do all these things, I get them all done so I can relax, and then my husband's asleep. And here I missed out on an hour of quality time I could have spent with my husband uninterrupted because I was so focused on doing those tasks that really don't matter. I was so focused on that. And so I encourage you to just kind of change that shift, to take the time to sit down and not worry so much about the setup. I also love that it doesn't say Mary sat and chatted away with Jesus and told him every detail of her day. Okay, I don't know. I've been doing this like stay-at-home mom thing for a while. I've never done that before, but I've been doing that a lot lately, and I stay at home. And so when I see my husband, it's kind of like an oasis moment, like in the desert. You're like, help is here, There's an adult in the room, and you just get so excited, and you just start unloading all of the things on your day. You're like, oh my goodness, Luca pooped at 2 o'clock, and then Isley went at 3, and you just start like telling them all these details. And the truth is, they just came from a busy day at work. They're home, and now I've just made it more stressful for them by just unloading all of these things. And so I love that it says that she just listened. And so what I've learned is to put the stopper in my mouth and to just wait and give it time, and I'll have time to share, but just to let him share about his day and not just totally unload all my burdens on him the minute he walks through the door. This is something I'm walking through in my relationship with Jesus right now too, because I'm really good at going to Jesus with an agenda. I don't know if you guys are. I got my devotion, I got my music, I got my coffee, I got everything set up. I'm ready to go to Jesus. But I've learned a lot of times that I approach him, like I said, with an agenda. And a lot of times he just wants me to sit in his presence. He just wants me to listen, to be quiet and listen. And that's not something I'm very good at. That's why I'm speaking. I need to learn to listen more. But so he is working on me and just resting in his presence. And so I encourage you, if you've never done that, turn your whatever you listen to, your iPod off, or don't take a book with you. Just find somewhere where you can rest in his presence, and I guarantee he'll speak to you. Rescheduling, as I was talking about, it's our first one we're talking about. I don't think I covered that. But rescheduling focuses on making margin in your life for your marriage to be healthy. And maybe that's for you. You're in a season where it's busy and you need to schedule that time. That's okay. It's okay to say, hey, on Tuesday night, babe, let's go out on the patio. Let's just talk. Let's just have a cup of coffee. Or maybe on Wednesday night when the kids go to bed, let's play a card game. Me and my husband, we like to play cards. So maybe it's something like that. I know a friend that right now, they're going through a season where they're so busy, they are right now scheduling when they have sex. And it works for them. And they're having that time to connect, and it holds them accountable to say, hey, listen, we're going to make this important in our relationship. And so it's just taking those steps to make long-term healthy habits in your marriage. And I know some of you guys might be in a season that I've been in before too, or maybe you're in a season where every time you're with your spouse, there's conflict, where you feel like there's always a fight. Well, I would challenge you to take all that intensity and energy and channel that from fighting in your marriage to fighting for your marriage. Because honestly, all it takes is one person saying, I don't care if I'm right anymore. I just want us to be right. I want to work through this. I want to fight for this. This is worth fighting for. You see, it's time for us to regain control of our calendar and time to reschedule the romance. So that's my encouragement right there. The second thing I want to talk to you guys about is refocusing. You see, one of our greatest joys, the things that give us the most happiness in life, is also one of our greatest distractions. Our children. You know those cute, cuddly kids? They could steal minutes and hours of our precious time and leave us completely exhausted. I don't know how many times that I've gotten through the day. I've made it to the finish line. And, my husband, acts like, hey, how you doing over there? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not having sex with you. No, you're lucky if I brush my teeth before I get in bed. It ain't happening. And so it's real easy for us to let that exhaustion carry over into our marriage. Also, it's easy to let our love for our children outshine our affection for our spouse. We have so much more grace and patience with our children than we have for the person we vowed to love for the rest of our life. And that's something I personally can see I do. This is one thing I've learned that it's hard to hear, but in order to be the mother that I want to be, I first have to be the wife that I'm called to be, because I really think those things are connected. And when I'm being a good supportive wife, I find that I'm also being a better mother. I love this quote. I ran across this quote. I'm kind of on Pinterest a lot lately, and I saw this, and I just thought, oh, this is so good. But it just says, once you're parents, your marriage matters more, not less, because now other people are counting on you. How true is that? It's our job to demonstrate what a healthy marriage looks like for our children. I did not grow up seeing a healthy marriage. My parents, as a child, I grew up, one of my first memories of my childhood is, I don't know how old I was, but I remember I walked into my parents fighting and I saw my mom throw a hammer at my dad's back. And their marriage was very tumultuous. It was lots of violence. It was lots of anger. There was infidelity that I was hearing about at a young age. And so they ultimately got divorced when I was in middle school. I will tell you, at 34 years old, holidays, as much as I love them, they are a struggle because I still deal with the repercussions of my parents' divorce. We are still, every holiday, this year included, arguing over who's going to see who, can we have mom and dad in the same room? It's not fun. It's exhausting. And that's what I grew up with. But the truth is, I made a decision when I got married that my children will deserve better, and I will give them better. I will show them a better example than what I grew up seeing. My husband, on the other hand, he grew up watching two parents who loved each other. They're crazy about each other. They kind of drive me crazy that they're so crazy about each other. They are loving. They are selfish. Selfless, not selfish. That'd be bad. They are loving and selfless, and they make time for date night. They still, to this day, go on dates weekly, like it's a priority. And I'll be honest, they made a priority when their kids were little to go on date nights. And I love, I was thinking about this the other day. I said, one reason my husband is so incredible, he really is amazing, is the fact that he saw such a shining example of marriage. And so he emulates what he saw as a child. And so I will tell you, your children are watching. So are they seeing, are they glorifying the vow you made to love and honor your spouse? Do you want your children to emulate or copy the marriage they are watching? And that's hard. That's sometimes hard to hear and think about. The scripture simplifies it. I'm going to read from Mark 10, 6-9. It says, "But God's plan was seen from the beginning of creation, for he made them male and female. This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. Since they are no longer two, but one, let no one separate them. For God has joined them together." God has joined them together. I love that. You see, God doesn't say, let no one except children. Children are fine to break. No, he says, let no one. We cannot let our love for our children become a wedge between us and our husbands. We are one. It's time we refocus on the relationship that is ultimately going to have the most impact on our children's lives. We have to make it a priority. Finally, I'm talking about how we can limit the distractions in our marriage. I want to talk about the effect of social media and our culture on our marriages. I don't know about you guys, but this is one that we are in an era that it's hard. It's kind of surprising that we have to talk about this, but for us, it's something we're walking through right now. It's time for us, we keep saying, for unplugging and reconnecting. I love me some Instagram. I love it. I love some of you guys have the funniest stories on Instagram. I love seeing pictures of your kids. I enjoy that. I love that connection. I love on Facebook getting to see people's Christmas trees and all the stuff. I love all that stuff. I love me. If you catch me up at 10 o'clock at night, I'm watching House Hunters. I love me House Hunters. I always want them to go over budget. I'm always like, over budget? Get that one. I would do it. So it's a great show. I also my sisters both live in Europe, so a lot of times they aren't up in the hours I'm up, so at night I'm always texting them and laughing, and that's kind of our time. But it wasn't that long ago that me and Stephen realized we were spending a lot more time when we were together, our downtime, with a phone in our hand or a remote in our hand. And we honestly were probably more connected to our Facebook friends than we were to each other because we were so busy being involved in social media. So whenever we moved here, we decided we wanted to change some stuff. So one thing we did immediately was we got rid of having a TV in our bedroom. So we don't have a TV in our bedroom, and I'll tell you what, you find other ways to entertain yourself. It's amazing. It's incredible. But it is really good because I feel like I've had some great talks at night before bed because you're not watching a screen. Another thing we did was we really established a family dinner. We were never good at that. We were always great about okay, I's late now, we'll feed Luca in a minute, and then we didn't just sit down. And so we've really made a habit of sitting down, turning off our phones, and having, even if it's 15 minutes of time together just to talk without anything distractions. And that's been a really good thing to add. And the third thing I was going to say that we've done is we've started to create dates or time together that is time where we actually connect. So, for example, we hadn't had a date night in a while, and a week ago or so, my mom said, "Hey, do you guys want to go out? I'll watch the kids." Of course, we said, sure. And so we decided we were going to go see a movie. And I was super excited because I think we saw a movie like in 1980. I'm just joking. But it's been a while. And so I was super excited about going to see a movie. And, I was talking to him that day, and I was texting him. I was like, man, I miss you. I feel like I haven't seen you. I can't wait for our date night. And the more I thought about it, I thought, man, I miss my husband. I haven't talked to him. I haven't spent time. I don't want to sit in a movie next to him. Maybe we're going to make out during it, but, I just want to see the movie. So I told him, I said, why don't we do dinner? So we went out to a nice dinner, and, we ordered dessert, and we drank coffee, and we sat out there, and it was honestly like a 3-hour dinner, but it was so nice to just be face-to-face, talking, laughing, interacting. And I just recommend, if you're going to do a date night, make it count. Find a time where you can really connect and do stuff where you actually have to have those conversations. There's a book, it's on your list. It's called 52 Unusual Dates. We bought it about a year ago. It's really great if maybe you're like us and you've done a lot of different dates and you kind of don't know what to do. It's a Christian book. Gary Chapman helped write it, who also did the 5 Love Languages. But it gives you ideas for dates that are unusual. For like one of them I know is like, try a different cuisine you've never tried. Or like, there's some interesting ones. There's like a cemetery date. We haven't done that one. There's some weird stuff. But it's a Christian book, and it has a devotional in it. When like I did laugh. The cemetery one's like, before you die. I'm like, this is getting really morbid and weird. I'm not going to do that one. But there's some really good ones in there, and it's great because it gives you, I don't know, sometimes you feel like maybe you don't have the conversation starters. It gives you questions in there. It gives you a little segment of the Bible to read. It's just a great little book. It's cheap. Anyway, I'd say check it out if you want to do some fun dates. But anyway, those are some changes that we made in our relationship. And I'll tell you one thing I've learned is that we as women, we are multitaskers. Like, we are like real good at that, When I was little, my grandma, I was really close to my grandma, and she doesn't know this because she died before I became a believer, but she had a huge impact on my walk spiritually because although she wasn't sharing Jesus with me, I was watching her. And I knew when she was reading her Bible, and I watched all those things she was doing, even though my parents didn't want her to share that directly with us. And we used to listen to old jazz records. And one of the old records we'd always listen to is Peggy Lee. I don't know if any of you guys know Peggy Lee, but she's like from way back in the day, and she's wonderful. I love her. Anyway, so when I was talking about this multitasking, I thought of this song because I used to sing this song with my grandma, okay? So forgive me. I'm not Mariah Carey here, but I'm going to read this, and it's so good for us as women, okay? I'll try to read it slow. The song's really fast. I'm going to try to read it slow. It says, I can rub and scrub till this whole house is shining like a dime. Feed the baby, grease the car, and powder my face at the same time. Get all dressed up, go out and swing till 4 a.m. and then lay down at 5, jump up at 6 and start all over again. 'Cause I'm a woman, a W-O-M-A-N. That's what I'm talking about. All right. I'm liking this. That's what I'm talking about. That's good. But I love that song. I don't know about the swinging till 4 a.m., maybe like physically swinging my child. I don't know who's going out, but that song was so funny because it's so true, like all the things we can do at one time. So I don't know if you guys know this, since we have the superpower, our men don't have this. Maybe some of yours are just like, the cream of the crop, and they do, but mine doesn't. And I will tell you that sometimes I'll be texting, and he'll look at me and he'll say, Susanna, are you listening to me? And I will say in my most sarcastic tone, yes, because I can do 2 things at once, so I am listening. And he doesn't appreciate that, and so I've learned that I just need to not say that, and I've also learned, though, that I've got to put stuff down. I've got to give him my concentration. I expect that from him when I talk to him, so I've got to do the same thing back. So to be fair to them, ladies, we've got to put our superpower away. We can use it for good at other times. But we've really got to give them our full attention. I was just saying that some of us, just to make our marriage stronger, and this is for me too, all we have to do is simply flip off our iPad, turn off the TV, or silence our phone, and we're going to see a huge amount of growth in our marriage just because of how much of a distraction that has become in our lives. Beyond electronics, our culture sadly will tell us that happy marriages don't exist anymore. They will tell us that divorce is an easier option, that there are people that can make you happier than the spouse you are currently with. 50% of marriages in the United States end in divorce. If you watch primetime TV or even Facebook, you see plenty of poor examples of unhealthy relationships, infidelity, and indecency. And these depictions can really warp our thinking. I've learned that some of those things I've got to cut out. I've got to cut out some of those negative influences in my life. And this is a verse I've really been praying over my time and praying over what I watch and what I expose myself to. And it says, it's in Philippians 4:8. It says, "And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise." Philippians 4:8. And I think it's a great verse. You see, I think our marriages and our spouses are worthy of praise. I am thankful for my husband. I'm glad he just showed up for this part. That was good. Way to show up for that. That's a good part to show up for. But but the enemy really, sadly, the enemy wants us to fail in our marriages. He does. He wants us to feel disconnected. He wants us to feel hurt. He wants us to feel angry. He wants us to wallow in unforgiveness. Maybe they've hurt you. Maybe you've been a part of a thing where in unfaithfulness, something like that. He doesn't want to see our marriages restored. But the truth is we serve a God that created a marriage for our benefit. It was a gift to us. And if we limit his ability to restore our relationship, then we are inevitably limiting our faith in our Father. We're saying, God, you're not big enough. And the truth is, he is. He is able. He is able to get us through even the darkest of situations. So I would encourage you this holiday season, take some time to reschedule some romance, to refocus on your relationship, and to reconnect with the love of your life. Because it's really fun to be happily married, and I believe that it's for all of us. So I want to close in prayer. I thank you guys for letting me talk to you guys, but I'm going to pray real fast, and I just want to pray over your marriages and your families. Lord, I come to you, and I just thank you for this time with these beautiful women, God. I thank you for this ministry and for this church, Lord, that you've given us. God, I pray you'd be with these marriages, that you would help them to find time, to spend time with their spouse and to reconnect and to really grow in that relationship. Lord, that you would restore marriages that may be on the verge of being broken, Lord, that we believe you are big enough, you are a great God, and that you can restore those relationships, Lord. We believe it. I pray you'd be with each of these women, they would know their worth in you. And God, I just, again, thank you for this wonderful holiday season where we can celebrate the birth of Jesus and we can give you all the glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it.